Hey everyone, this is Nic LaRue from FilmSnobbery. I'm here at Panic Fest, Kansas City at the Armour Theater. We are at we're a Sunday night screening. We snuck out like all sneaky like from a screening of the movie called Off Ramp, which I had the pleasure of seeing at the Boston Underground Film Festival, but I wanted to save a little something for the folks at Panic Fest. So I decided to do my interview a little bit later. So I'm here with some folks from the movie, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
What's up? I'm Nathan Tape. I'm the director, co-writer, producer, and co-editor of Off Ramp.
Long list. Tim Cairo, co-writer and executive producer. And that is all.
And I'm Jon Oswald. I had the privilege of being Trey, one of the main juggies.
This is a fantastic movie. I was so happy to have seen it. I've had a chance to review it. If you haven't, check out it at FilmSnobbery.com. Also, it's a movie that you can't really pin down. It's not a drama. It's not a comedy. It's not a thriller. It's not a horror. It's a little bit of everything. But I would love to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, the director's mouth. How would you describe this film, and how would you get people on board with the Dark Carnival, as it were?
Well, it is a little bit of everything, as you mentioned. I think that's that's a strength of the film. I think it's that it gives you a little bit of everything. My favorite movies are movies that make me laugh and cry and cheer and a little bit of every kind of emotion. So I feel like that's one thing that Off Ramp does have to offer. It's about juggalos, and it's about two juggalos who are on their way to the gathering of the juggalos, and they kind of discover themselves and their relationships and their relationship to the world, and they learn a lot about themselves. And I think ultimately it's a film about acceptance. And it's about finding your family and finding the things that you connect with, and I think those are universal themes. So even though you may maybe you don't have the most favorable opinion of juggalos or what they look like or the music or whatever, but you should come and check it out, because I think you might learn a little something about yourself. And I think that's one of the things that we offer, is that something is about treating humans like humans, and that's what we tried to make.
There's also a lot of drugs, violence, and bloodshed along the way that Nathan left out conveniently.
Done in a sweet way.
Fair enough. I did not. I did ignore all of that.
That's those sweet drugs and blood. No, it's fantastic. And you've this is not your first foray at Panic Fest either. You had a film here before. They liked it so much, they were like, well, the next thing that comes out, we got to do this again. So what is it about a festival like Panic Fest that for you guys makes it worth the effort to come all the way out and say, we'll keep coming back?
I mean, it's an incredible festival. It's probably the most unique theater I've come across for any festival. Within the whole, genre sphere that I've come across. I don't know. We had such a great time. They were so warm and really took us in the last time we were here for Lowlife. That was way back in 2018, I think. And they made us feel welcome in a way that is pretty unique. And so now the festival is way bigger than it was then, and we're back here and couldn't wait to get back, and happy to see all the success they've had as well.
And I just rode on their coattails. So I was not a part of Lowlife, but then the success of their great film, I was like, I also have a film that Tim and I did. So, but jokingly, but still seriously, Tim, connected with his contacts here. It was like very welcome. He was like, Tim and Jon were both like, you got to play Panic Fest.
Jon was also in Lowlife, just
yes,
FYI.
Exactly. Jon and Tim are both involved in Lowlife. Great film. Highly recommend. But anyway, they were just, it was great they said these guys are great. So it was very exciting that we got a chance to come and play here as well.
Gotta love those riding on the coattails. As long as you can get away with it, ride on, sir. Mount up. So I obviously I want to talk about the making of the movie, but the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about the characters in this movie, because the characters are interesting people. But no, it's weird because there's heart here. There's good soul. There's it's good people that have done bad things, but for somewhat the right reasons. And there's a lot going on with this. It's very complicated. How do you sir, get into character for Trey?
Man, it was a lot of talking with Nate, and I watched a lot of the documentaries that he, because, right, you think Juggalo, and you hear, I thought, like, great, another, like, white piece of shit character for me to play, which I've done quite a few of, but, yeah, it's totally different from what I thought, so I just played it like a compassionate person, and so much of it depended on Scott. I didn't really know what my performance would be until I met him and started working with him, and he just, I don't know, he brought so much out of me. It's so much of my performance always depends on who you can feed off of, right? And Scott was such a great person to do it with, and we kind of got to discover, spending so much time in the van together, kind of as we go, discover more about, I don't know, just after 2 or 3 days, it felt just so real that it was just so natural that Scott, I credit Scott for that. He's amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, from what I understand, there's a lot of improv in this film, or a decent, small amount. From what I hear, there's some improv, some level of improv in this.
Writers.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's some.
You got some singers in there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, how do you kind of get into that character? Did you have to like trigger phrases for yourself to get like, okay, I need to start getting into Juggalo mode. I need to start getting into whatever. Or is it so explicit on the page that you didn't really have to feel that it was like, to inhabit this was not a bridge too far?
I mean, these guys' writing is so good. It's so detailed. It's so much easier for me on an actor's side to have all that description there. I mean, everything is there. I mean, we didn't. Sure, some lines are thrown out there, but it's just that just comes with, again, being natural with Scott, and like it didn't come down like no major changes or anything. Just if a line felt more natural, if we were so comfortable just shooting the shit, some funny shit just came out after a while. But no. Well, yeah, and those just come to you just kind of spur, if it's right.
Well, and also, too, I mean, we had spent so much time doing it, and, like, these guys really became those characters, so it became natural for them to say something as the characters. And, we work in such a way, too, I think a script is a living document, and, like, it keeps getting adjusted until it's, like, shot. And so you're, like, kind of always, like, it's always, what's the last best idea? I mean, there are hilarious moments that are in the movie that I literally, like, thought of, like, as we're shooting, and I was like, Johnny, say this. And he just said it, and they were like, okay, and now it's in the movie. And same way, Johnny's like, hey, can I try this? And I'm like, yeah. And then, like, it's like, okay, that's in the movie. Whatever is the best idea wins,
Who was in charge of writing the raps?
Both did.
But you did more. I think we both contributed, but I would say Tim was actually more instrumental in the rapping. He wrote more of the raps.
Tim has an incredible hip-hop knowledge, somewhat.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I like writing raps, so it's fun.
Yeah. Especially for Silas, because they're hilarious.
I mean, it helps that they're not supposed to be great rappers.
No, I mean, so another interesting thing too about Juggalo is obviously you got the clown makeup, right? Like that's just part of the lifestyle, kind of, especially everyone at the gatherings got their own unique thing. Did you guys, as characters or as actors, get to choose how you want to do your makeup, and then was there any concern of like consistency throughout?
Yeah, we had a bunch of options. We went over to a makeup artist's house, a few days before we shot, and just had just kind of scrolling through. What do you guys want to do? What looks good with Nathan? There were so many cool options. It's all fucking cool, right? But I think it ended up kind of all, I don't know, really working for the characters. I don't know who you signed off on the final choices for those, but
it was mostly the actor. I gave the actors a lot of freedom to create their own because I thought it would be more authentic, that they living in the character's skin would be part of it. I still obviously approved it, but I didn't make any changes. Like when they
looks really right, like all their looks are kind of mostly determined by the actors for the most part.
Yeah, I mean there were specific things. We designed the T-shirts for Trey and Silas, and we wanted those specifically. But then they contributed very much on the rest of the costuming, and Ashley. Yeah, and Ashley picked basically everything other than we picked the shirts
herself and picked that herself. Yeah, we all kind of as a group, us three came up with that. It was super cool. So that scene where we all come out in it, and Silas is like, "Do you like my face paint?" You can tell he's so giddy because we were all like, we couldn't wait to start putting the paint on and get to this phase of the movie and start to get fucking batshit crazy. So when we all got that on, it was really exciting to film that with all of us finally painted up, getting to pick our own. That was one of the best days for me.
Now, I also know that this making any movie comes with some level of challenges, but I know this movie has some too, including like lost footage and stuff like that. If you want to talk a little bit about, what are some of the things that like you guys came up against, and how did you get around it?
Well, I'll say first that, every obstacle is an opportunity to improve, and that is the truth, even though it's a cliche, and I think the film is better because of the obstacles that we faced. I think that's actually very, very true, and the film got better because we lost that footage, to be quite honest with you. I'll just talk about one specific one that is really kind of an interesting, unique challenge. If you've seen the film, there's a ceremony scene at the centerpiece of it, and the Scarecrow, who is one of the main bad guys, he is the centerpiece of the ceremony scene. He has the most dialogue. It's basically around his stuff. And our actor, Jared Benkins, the night we were supposed to shoot this scene, got a blood clot in his neck and had to go to the hospital and couldn't show up. So we had to shoot that whole night, shoot around him. We basically designed the wide shot but knew we weren't going to shoot it. Then we shot all the coverages of all the people doing the stuff. We had a lot of special effects that night, and so we did the special effects inserts. I sat in his chair and wore his costume and did the action of certain things as we were doing the stuff, because it was so we got all that. We crossed our fingers, prayed to the Guitar Carnival that the next day he would be okay, and sure enough he was, and was able to come in. But even
horrible about being late and missing because he's such a sweet guy.
He is the Scarecrow.
Medical emergency.
And Scarecrow, as nasty as as a character he is, in person, Jared Benkins is one of the most lovely human beings you'll ever meet. So it's really kind of funny. But yeah, but. So anyway, that was a really unique challenge that we were able to kind of overcome. And
you've from the Q&As and stuff that I've heard you do, there's some fantastic stories about come out of the gathering and stuff like that. There's that you've integrated some of those stories into some of the events of the film. It's an interesting. The whole thing is interesting because it kind of almost starts out like almost a Harold and Kumar-esque type of thing, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun little road movie, and then it's you meet Scarecrow, and Scarecrow is terrifying. That whole situation, and then it almost feels like something out of Bad Boys or something like that, and oh shit, we are now in some crime shit. And then you guys go full over the board, and it's I try so hard to not want to be. I want to be spoiler free on this, but I can't even imagine yourself reading. You're reading the script on this, and then you get to a certain part. Let's say where you're being held hostage by a certain police officer, and someone else shows up, and shit happens after that. How do you not read that and go what the fuck is wrong with you people? How do you? I mean, was there anything when you were reading this thing you're that is some shit?
I mean, like Tim just said, I have read Tim's writing for a long time before, and if Nate is working with him, they're both equally jacked up in the head. But no, these guys, I mean, I get so tired of reading scripts that are just fit into one box, and they're trying to make this kind of movie. These guys are masters of blending tones. It's I don't know, life isn't all a comedy or a drama. They go all of Tim's stuff. It just has feels like it has every human emotion, which I think makes it so authentic and, I don't know, real.
And Tim, how did you and Nate actually originally meet?
We met at New York Film Academy in 2001 in New York, and yeah, it was actually for the time, for sure. We were both. That was our first introduction to anything to do with production, film production, and we were kindred spirits right off the bat, and we've been staying in touch ever since, and just geeking out about movies all the time. And finally, we decided to just make our own, so we did.
Yeah, this guy and our other friend Costa Papadopoulos, who is also a Canadian that was in school with him, who went to New York Film Academy. We were in the same group, and they have the honorable distinction of introducing me to the Criterion Collection and then being responsible for the thousands and thousands of dollars that
I'm denying any accountability for that.
But it's one of those things that we both connected again way later. We both spent time doing other things in our life other than pursuing our dreams of being filmmakers, and we kind of reconnected again after a long time him like, I mean, we talked occasionally, but weren't like, and we kind of reconnected and we're like, wait, we both want to make films. Like, this is our real dream. Let's try to do this again. The same thing, this dream we had when we were in our early 20s. So it was very cool that we get a chance to be able to reconnect and then make something that is also very cool and about friendship and about the uniqueness of friendship.
If you find people that are as fucked up as you are, you definitely should keep them close. It's good advice.
No, I mean, and you guys have something really unique in as much as, like, you introduced him to the Criterion Collection in film school. All that Lloyd Kaufman had to do to create trauma movies, fucked up trauma movies, was take LSD while at Yale. So, you guys have your method, and I guess other people... Yeah, exactly. I'd watch that, just so we're very, very clear. At the very least, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, absolutely. What do you guys see, and this goes for you as well as an actor, like, what do you guys see to being the key to having a sustainable career in the entertainment industry? I know I got to a real, solid, actual question now, like Oprah shit. Well, I mean, you got to get it on the mic, but yeah, shit. What's the key to a sustainable career in this industry?
I mean, I still don't think I've figured it out yet. I mean, I grew up watching movies just wondering how is this guy just being discovered now? He's 38 years old, but fuck, man, it's a grind. And it's not like people ask you what brought you to this role? Why did you pick this role? It's because it's the role that was offered to me. I mean, it's hard to work now. As an actor, ever since the pandemic started, now people can self-tape from their garage, and now instead of 200 people being in a room in LA, look around saying, I know someone in here is going to get this role. Now it's anybody in the fucking world right now that you're competing against. So I'm appreciative of every job. That's why I try to pour everything into every role, because I don't know when the next one is coming. So how to sustain it, I have no fucking idea. Hire me, please.
That's great. Yeah, I'm not going to offer career advice to anyone because I don't fucking know. But I would say just work on what excites you, and I think good things will happen from there. That's all I can say. If it doesn't excite you, fuck it. I don't know. Unless you need to use it to pay the bill, and sometimes you do, then get it done and move on to what excites you.
I'll say, when I was in film school, a much more successful filmmaker, William Friedkin, came to our class and told us you needed 3 things to succeed: talent, persistence, and luck. And the least important thing is talent. And, I think that's true. But I also think you really need to, love this shit and, not be able to do anything else, and you just have to love it. And if you don't love it, it's not worth it. But when you do love it, it can be the most gratifying thing in the world. I mean, making this film is without a question the greatest thing I've ever done, and and the most joy in my life. Yeah, we've had the really, really lows, but the highs and the joy and being able to celebrate it with really cool people and get to see people experience it for the first time is like nothing else, and it's just very addictive, and it's so that passion and love, just go back to that.
What's some of the feedback that you guys have actually gotten from actual juggalos on this movie, in terms of them commenting on authenticity of the characters or the experience of the gathering or juggalos in general?
It's been a little limited because we've only been able to play in film festivals at this current time, so that time is coming. We have a number of good Juggalo friends who have been a part of the filmmaking, and they're very supportive and love the film and have offered and said, you really see us and see what we're, and trying to do. And that's what we hope for, because we were not really trying to make a caricature of these people. We were trying to shed light and just give you an impression of really to see that we're all juggalos in some way, and that it's just you put a different name on something, is whatever. So I think they're really excited about it. I think, the few juggalos that we have seen it are all surprised and relieved that it's not another, piece mocking them and making them the butt of the joke, and instead hopefully laughing with them, and kind of, that's in our intent, is to do that. And so I hope that continues to come across as people keep seeing it.
No, I mean, again, going back to the characters and stuff like that, I mean, you've created this world for these folks that is both difficult but also lighthearted. There's a very heavily weighted towards family and, supporting outcasts and all that kind of stuff. It's a, while still, having a little bit of room for just a little bit of light crime. Just a little bit. A little, yeah, and the occasional, The occasional pregnancy. That is.
Drinking breast milk.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was crazy. I remember seeing this movie and there being 3 distinct parts where the audience had visceral reactions. The breast milk was one of them. The one towards the end is another one that I won't give because I really want people to go in fresh for that.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's a movie that is so based on like these little moments, but but it carries really well all the way through. The characters are fantastic. I know that this was kind of a note that changed kind of halfway into the production, that where you decided to make go ahead.
Well, let's see. Hold on. Are you going to talk about Silas?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we don't want to spoil that.
Copyright. All right, I got you.
We can. But
So
what I'll say this is that Silas is the thing that's really interesting about this movie is that Silas is the heart and soul of the film. And what you experience with Silas, and as he reveals things about his character, and as you learn about him, I think that our intent and what we're hoping that people feel is that they bring the similar biases to this film that they may have about Juggalos or about anybody. And as they watch the film, hopefully they learn a little bit something about themselves and about other people and how people really, every person just longs to be accepted. And I think that that's a very universal theme, and we pick Juggalos as the metaphor for that.
Fantastic. No, and you made a really good statement there of like that, Silas's character is the heart, whereas Trey's character is the head. Mm-hmm. He's like, I know the right thing we should be doing right now. Yeah. I know the right thing we should be doing right now, but circumstances notwithstanding, we're fucked either way. No, it's really compelling characters across the board. The female lead is such complimentary to those guys. Where did you cast? All right, so two kind of random ending questions kind of is, A, where did you cast the rest of your cast from? And 2, where did you get those locations from? Because they seem they seem remote, and they seem very everything you had looked lived in, grimy. How do you find that without doing some serious spelunking?
Well, as far as locations, it was shot in Chalmette, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes from New Orleans, and it's a kind of a swamp community. It's kind of small, so it is kind of lived in and has that feel. I knew about these locations because I worked for many years as a gaffer, and so we would shoot out there often because when we were looking for kind of remoter areas, so I knew about it. I have some friends in locations department, so we contacted this guy, and actually my DP is actually the one who suggested the actual physical spot we shot. And he was like, "Oh, I went and shot this music video out here." He's like, "You might look into it," and it was great. They had this double wide trailer, and then credit our production designer Michael DeMarco. We had this very specific thing what we wanted Scarecrow's place to look like, and actually Scarecrow and Silas's trailer are the same physical place. We just dressed them differently. But the dressing was really huge and key to both of those scenes, and they painted the walls differently and all that. But that was all very. So he did an incredible job of really making it look lived in, and he spent all that. As far as casting, there's a lot of great local Louisiana people in the film. A number of them were people that I met through, again, my time gaffing and whatever, working on different TV shows, and I kind of throughout my career kind of noted these people and was oh, these are great people, and so called them up whenever it was time to make a film. John came to us through the Low Life connection. Scott we found through a casting search, and our great casting director Hunter McHugh basically found Scott, and it was what an amazing thing, because when you see the film and you understand who Silas is, it's a challenge to cast the kind of role. He's a very unique person, and the film would have not been very good in my opinion if it wasn't him. He's just brings so much to it. So that was that, and then Ashley Smith, who plays Eden, came to us through a mutual friend who it was this friend of mine was you have to meet this girl. She was a juggalo growing up, and now she's an actor, and because she was a little bit her older sister was a real juggalo, and she was kind of juggalo adjacent, but she was into it and went to gatherings and stuff, and so she just had it. And when she auditioned, I was literally we did it over a Zoom, and I was you are this character, you know. And I was like, once I saw her, I could never get her out of my head as far as who else could possibly play her, and she brings so much to it. I think she just adds and it's one of her first big roles, which is unbelievable because she just like brings so much tenderness and understanding, and like it's just her depth of like understanding the character was like so deep, you know. So anyway, she's great.
No, she reminded me kind of a lot of like back in some of the earlier indie stuff that like Joey Lauren Adams would do, or some of the more grimy stuff like from like Kids or something like that, you know. Absolutely. So like that kind of grittier like early 90s kind of like era type of stuff.
Yeah, that's her vibe, man. Yeah, she's so good at it. You're exactly right. Cosign.
Copyright. All right, copy that rather. All right. So I guess last is where does this film go from here? Because everyone I talk to seems to like it, and I keep telling people to see it. So is there are there festivals that we're going to be able to see this thing at, or maybe possibility of on my own TV at some point?
Yes to both. We are playing at Calgary Underground Film Festival April 22nd. So if you're in Calgary, please, that'll be our Canadian premiere. It'll be Monday at 8:45. It's going to be great. We're very excited. I hear great things about Calgary, similar kind of vibe to Panic and to Buffalo. I mean, I keep saying that, Boston Underground, because it's Buff. I'm sorry, Nicole. We're doing that, and then yes, we are in talks with a distribution deal, so we're hoping for a fall release to have a small theatrical release and VOD, and there will be physical media as well. So thank goodness, we're all very excited about the physical media.
Hopefully including a soundtrack.
Oh, that would be great. That would be really great.
Well, all right. Well, in that case, guys, I mean, tell everyone to take the off-ramp to the friends in low-life places. It's fantastic. Thanks again for bringing Off-Ramp here at Panic Fest, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It was great to reconnect with all of you and meet you guys as well. And, and hopefully, good luck and safe travels.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.